Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here on STV. The main talking points on tonight's programme: Celtic have completed the signing of Kouassi Eboué on a 4-year deal. Rangers have also been busy. They've completed the loan signing of John Rankin from Arsenal, and that's off the back of the Emerson Hyndman deal. And sadly, Graham Taylor, the former England manager, has died at the age of 72. We'll look back on his career as well a little later in the programme. I'm delighted to say joining me on tonight's programme is Gordon Smith. We will hear from our boot-room guest John Rankin of Queen of the South a little later on in the programme as well. I caught up with John earlier today in the studio. Celtic have completed the signing, 4-year deal. Of course, Kouassi Eboué has still to get a visa, but the work permit has been all clear.
Yes, I think that he's one of these ones that you consider a potential player. He's only just turned 19 in December there, so he's one for the future as well. They've got him on a 4-year contract. They've obviously done a bit of scouting on him because he hasn't played a lot of games. I mean, he's only played, I think, about 14 or 15 first-team games, but he's obviously a real talent, and Celtic have been doing quite well in that respect of late in bringing people in, developing them and making them more valuable than they are. Yeah,
£2.8 million is a bit of money to spend on a 19-year-old, so they must have seen something, Gordon.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, he's playing at a good level. I mean, he's out in Russia playing, and the standard's good there as well. But so they must have seen something in him that they think he can develop. He's a central midfield player. He's about 6 foot tall, just over 6 foot, so he's a big lad. And the reports on him seem to be that he's a very talented player too. So they say, I imagine he'll get the work permit, because normally it's also done whether he complies with the regulations. You can also do it on the basis that he's somebody that is special and can change the game and can come and have a good career here. Yeah,
over and above that, I think what we will find over the next few weeks is Celtic offloading players. Owen O'Connell has been allowed to go to Walsall on loan.
Yeah, I think that'll be what they should do. I mean, if young players there are coming through and they're not making it, they should be doing the same as other teams are doing, taking loan deals. So I think there'll be maybe one or two even being moved on, maybe even sold or whatever, allowed to leave, because the squad maybe is certainly regarded as being too big, and if they're bringing in players, it's only going to make it obviously less chance for some of them to get anywhere near the first team squad.
Yeah, even if you're on the edge of it. I mean, I would say the majority of players want to play regularly, and that can be frustrating for you. Even if you're on a long-term contract with a deal, you still want to kick a ball.
I agree with you totally. I wouldn't want to be at any club and not be considered. Only happened to me once when I was at Manchester City, and I'd had an illness and I wasn't getting considered for the first team, and when the opportunity came along to go to Oldham on loan, I just jumped at it right away, because I want to play every week. I didn't want to be about the squad and be like one of the. In those days, there was only 2 subs were allowed on, but with the first team squad about 20 players, I was part of it. But because I wasn't involved, I couldn't handle that. I just wanted to play football.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, from Celtic and the incoming player, let's switch our attention across the city. John Rankin, we expected him to complete the loan deal, and he'll be there at Rangers until the end of the season.
Yeah, another young player who's obviously considered, he's 21, I think, and he's Spanish, and he's been playing in Granada of late in the Spanish league. So he's a few games as well. He also did quite well at Birmingham when he was there as well, and he's at Brentford before that. But he's never played for Arsenal, but it's very hard for a young player to break through at the big clubs in England. So he obviously comes with a decent reputation, and it'll be interesting to see when the games come about again, whether these players are going to be considered right to be put right in the team, or whether they're just going to be squad players.
Well, that was the point I was going to pick up on, Gordon, because quite simply, it's 6 months, and I wouldn't imagine he'd be wanting to try and bed them in. I mean, if you're getting 2 players of hopefully a half-decent calibre as far as the Rangers fans are concerned, yeah, you want them in there right away to make an impact.
Oh, I think so. I think that's one of the areas that Mark Warburton maybe looking to think I maybe need to strengthen in that midfield area. He brought in, like the lad Windass has come in, he's signed a permanent deal. He's a young player, but he was playing at a lower level, obviously being at Accrington Stanley, where this boy has been playing in Spain now, and he's an Arsenal player, so he might consider him ahead of that, and he'll want to play him, because there's no point bringing people in loan and not playing him. And it's quite interesting. I mean, I don't know what the deal will be, but it's quite interesting. Some of the big clubs now, when they put a player out on loan, they'll cover the wages if the player's in the team. If they put him out on loan and the team aren't playing him, they'll then say, well, we're going to charge you money for that if you're taking our player. So it does mean a lot of the time they want their player to get experience, and that's sometimes what the kind of deal they make.
Yeah, just one other note on Rangers. Rob Kiernan, he put in an appeal against the claim of punching St Johnstone Stephen Anderson. He's won that appeal, and he will be available for Rangers Scottish Cup tie against Motherwell. There's been a fair few appeals that the players have ended up winning, and this one is a bonus for Mark Warburton.
It absolutely is. I mean, I never saw I saw the game. I never saw the incident that happened, but obviously they always felt they had a case, and one of the factors that Mark Warburton thought they had a case was the fact that that the media were making a big issue of it on the TV, and he also was saying that one of the people involved in the media has got a job at one of the clubs that Rangers are playing, Motherwell Rangers are playing next, Stephen Craigan, obviously, and he felt that was unfair, that he should be making any comment at all on a disciplinary procedure that might affect his players' availability for that match.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he's won the appeal, he's in, so that's a bonus for Mark Warburton. Of course, January is one of those months where I think most of us have picked who we think is going to win and lose, who might be relegated, who might be in a playoff. We're going to get a real sense of whether teams are strengthened or whether they're weakened by the loss of players. Let me switch our attention to one player in particular who's got a dilemma. I think everybody thought Callum Patterson was on his way out of Hearts. And as luck would have it, certainly not in his case, he picks up an injury, out for 10 months, and I think Jimmy Sanderson yesterday was speaking, saying he reckons he should sign a deal and concentrate on being at Hearts, because you just don't know what the future can hold for you.
I think that's maybe a good idea, because we don't know if he's going to make a good recovery from this, because it's quite a serious injury when you're out that long. I feel very sorry for him, because he's a player who had developed over the last year, in my opinion. He got himself into the international setup, played for Scotland. He was a top scorer for Hearts, even as a defender, which is tremendous, and there was interest from him down south. Now, the two aspects of that, both parties have lost out. Hearts were going to get some money in, obviously, which was going to help them towards probably re-establishing the squad a bit, getting some players in, and the player himself was going to go to a higher level. So I feel sorry for both parties, and I just hope that Callum Patterson makes a full recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. But if he does re-sign and manages to replicate the form of prior to the injury, suddenly Hearts might be in a better bargaining position.
Well, he will be if he re-signs, because that's one of the things that if his contract runs out, then they're not in a good position at all, because he's at an age he can walk away.
What about, in that, and I know the first half of the programme is dominated by players coming and going. What about Aberdeen? Derek McKinnon's got a real dilemma here. He's already in the news mentioning the fact that he's doing everything he can to persuade Johnny Hayes to stay in case Cardiff really come in with a firm bid for him. Niall McGinn is one of those players that we think, if it's not in the window here, he might be on his way to Hearts in the summer. Yeah. And now he's said to Ryan Jack, look, as a club, we showed faith in you when you were injured. Now it's time for you to repay that loyalty.
I think there's a good case for that. I actually do think that sometimes when a player's injured, but the club are obviously looking at it thinking he's also get value as well. So there's two sides to it from that point of view. But I think when he's a club captain, I think he would like to see a gesture from the player as well towards the fans to say, look, I'll stay at this club, I'm a captain, I'm a leading player here. And he can always, when he signs a new deal, he can always get a transfer fee written into the contract, an amount of money that means he's free to go if somebody comes in and makes that sort of bid. So they just need to get together and do it. I think Derek McInnes doesn't want to lose the sort of faith of the players and the supporters in this case, because they are fighting for this second spot, and if he achieves the second spot this year, then there would be a degree of satisfaction for him, and he'll get credit. Previous years it wasn't as much of a problem, but this year it's slightly more difficult because Hearts and obviously Rangers are up there challenging. Yeah,
just one thing before we hit the break. Rory Loy signs for St Mirren on loan from Dundee. He was a guy along with Kane Hemmings and Greg Stewart that was scoring goals for fun. Now he's got that chance to kickstart again at St Mirren.
Yeah, it seemed to. What surprised me was that when Dundee were failing to get goals at last season, after the other two players were away in the early part of this season, then Rory Loy wasn't really getting brought in either. I was quite surprised at that, because when he was in good form for a while, and St Mirren, the sort of trouble they're in, they need somebody to turn that around for them, and he just might be the one.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, coming up after the break, we'll hear from Queen of the South's club captain, John Rankin. He decided he wasn't kicking the ball at Falkirk, desperately wanted to be playing regularly every week. We'll hear from John Rankin. We'll talk about the sad passing of former England manager Graham Taylor as well. Gordon Smith is with me on the programme. Join us after the break. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. Gordon Smith is in the chair in Ruffy's absence, and more than an able deputy. And earlier today, we invited our boot room guest in. I managed to get a word with Queen of the South club captain John Rankin. John Rankin, thanks for joining us here in the studio. Queen of the South, that certainly caught us all by surprise. How did it come about?
Frustration in one part, to be honest with you, Peter. I spoke to the manager of Falkirk, Peter Houston, who was great with me. He understood totally my position. It was frustration because I wasn't playing a lot of games, and anybody that knows me will tell you that training Monday to Friday is just a small part, but the Saturday's massive for me. I need to be playing games. I can't just sit and pick up my wage, and I need something at the end of a hard week's training. And, my frustration was building up throughout the season. I think I'd maybe only started 13 or 14 games, if that. So it was frustration, and I went and spoke to Peter and just said, listen, if there was any chance I could move on, then I would, because obviously I needed to start games, and he totally understood. Probably helped him a wee bit as well with freeing up some money to bring in someone else, and he was great with me. He really was. He understood fully. He spoke to me and we had a long chat, not just about where I move on from Falkirk, but also life after football. So obviously I worked with Peter before at Dundee United, and I can only speak highly of him.
Yeah. How much of the decision to leave was driven by the fact that you're at the, for some people, the twilight of your career, and at 33 years of age, you think, well, I don't want to sit and waste my time?
Aye, you could say that. I mean, at 33, a lot of people see they're coming to the end. I don't see that. I genuinely don't. I want to play as long as I can. I want to try and get close to 40 if I can. Try to keep myself in as good a nick as you can, but as you know, it gets harder as you get older. But as I said, I want to play as many games as I can. Someone says to me, I played 500 at the beginning of this season, so I know I'm not going to make another 500, but you want to try and get as close to that as possible, and the only way to do that is by playing games, and it drives me on. It really does. I want to play, and I want to compete. And when you see the 16, 17-year-olds coming in, that gives me that wee bit of edge, because you want to show that you can keep up with them. And at this moment in time, I can, and hopefully can for another few years.
And Queen of the South, what influenced you? What was the driving force behind that club?
Well, Gary Naismith phoned me and spoke to me on the phone, and they train at Broadwood, which is quite handy for me because I'm living Cumbernauld, and I suggested why we don't meet face to face. And as soon as I'd met him face to face, that was the first time I'd ever came across him. He's infectious, he really is, and as soon as we had a chat, it was only going to be one way. My head was turned, and I liked the thought of playing under him. I loved his enthusiasm and the way he spoke, and he's really driven. It was something, probably a challenge that I needed at this stage, because as I said, I've not been playing a lot of games, and I wanted to get out and achieve something again. I didn't know at the time that Queens were in such a bad run. I don't think they'd won in 13 games, so once I signed, I'd seen that as a challenge, and it's something I want to try and help the club with and get back up that table. And Saturday was a big game. I mean, you first join your games against St Mirren, who are fighting for their lives as well. So, I mean, looking at last week, you're being invited to a new club to come and join a new club with a manager, as I said, that made a big impression on me. And as soon as I had that opportunity, there was only one way I was going.
And St Mirren, good win to start with, and then of course it doesn't get any better than a game against one of your old clubs, Dundee United.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that in Saturday, they're off the back of two quite poor results. I mean, going to Dumbarton, and then obviously losing the big one on Friday night at home away, to Hibs. But I'm really looking forward to getting back there. It's a club I've got very fond memories of. was here for 5 years. Albeit the last year wasn't so great with relegation, but as I said, it's only fond memories I have of there. I made a lot of good friends at Dundee United, and I still keep in contact with them on a daily basis, as a matter of fact. So I enjoyed it there, looking forward to getting back, and had a good relationship with the supporters and the people round about the club. I mean, it's always nice to get back to an old club, but round about Dundee United, there's always some really friendly people.
Yeah, and with that in mind, you're probably better placed than most players to assess the Championship. That significant result you were talking about on Friday night, is it a Hibs Dundee United 1 and 2 for you? Do you see anybody else in the playoffs that could maybe push it, or is that the way it's going to finish?
It's very difficult to say at this moment in time. Obviously, being mid-January, once you get to the end of January and you see what players both teams bring in. Let's be honest, they've got the 5th and 6th biggest budget in Scotland with the two of them. So when you look at it in that way, it is very much where it is now with regards to budget-wise and how they can strengthen Neil Lennon's business so far in the January transfer window with Chris Commons and Chris Humphries has been second to none. It really has. It's been really, even in the Premiership, bringing that standard of player would make a difference to any side. So they've come in and really strengthened, and Ray McKinnon obviously brought in the boy from Denmark last week, so it'll be interesting to see how he adapts to the Scottish game. But I mean, there is teams out there that can go and put a run of games together and go and challenge. I mean, you've seen it before. Dundee United, I think, had 13 games of a winning streak, and then they've lost 2 in a row. So I mean, I think earlier on in the season, Queen of the South done it, Falkirk have also done it, and Morton have had a great season so far. So teams like that will see themselves still having a chance to maybe upset one of the two and maybe make second place in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's only 2 or 3 days that you've been working with your new teammates. Has Gary mentioned to you any ambitions for Queen of the South still to push for a playoff place?
I think that has to be the aim. When you look at it just now, I mean, obviously on Saturday was huge for us. It really was. I mean, St Mirren managed to get a victory and end up 6 points behind us. They've got a wee bit of momentum, and then they're on your tails. Whereas we're going to get the 3 points on Saturday, but we're now looking above us. I mean, the place is full of confidence. The boys probably had struggled with a wee bit of confidence and form when you're looking at 13 games without a win. But the manager obviously brought in Dom Thomas last week from Motherwell on loan, and Joe Thompson as well from Celtic on loan, who's got experience of playing in the division, being at Dumbarton. And the new lads adapted really well. They've come in and boosted the squad, get a wee bit of confidence. Winning Saturday, we get 3 points at St Mirren, obviously push up, and now we're looking at above us. We really are. I mean, Dunfermline, I think we're levelling points with Dunfermline. It's just goal difference here in front of us, and Wraith Rovers are now within catching distance. So we're not looking over our shoulders at this moment in time. I think we've got to be positive and look to see who we can catch next.
Yeah, John Rankin, 33 years of age. I like his attitude. It was what you were talking about in the first part of the programme, Gordon Smith. He wants to play. He doesn't want to just sit and pick up wages.
No, exactly. I felt the same as him, because that's how I always thought myself. You want to be in the team, you know, training all week and then not being involved. It's hard to handle that, and especially when you get older, 33 years of age, you want to still be playing because you know the time has run out in your career. He's a top professional though. I mean, he has been a good player everywhere he's been. Dundee United was a special time for him. Obviously, he played before that with, you know, like, he's been at Hibs and he's been at Ross County and Inverness sort of thing, so he knows what that scene's like too. So he's been a good signing, I think, for Queen of the South. Yeah,
just a couple of things before we finish, Gordon. Of course, we've talked about the positives of a player like John Rankin who wants to play, and other players who really want to play week in, week out. Here's a man who's just signed a new deal. Dimitri Payet has told Slaven Bilic that he doesn't want to play for West Ham anymore. Bilic clearly feels as if he's been tapped up. I don't know about you, Gordon, but I think that's the part that tarnishes our game.
Well, definitely. I mean, he signed a 5-year contract in the summer there, so even at the end of this season, I mean, at the moment he's got 4.5 years to go. The end of the season, he'll have 4. How can you suddenly say you don't want to play for them anymore? You know, you say I maybe want to, you know, I'll put in a transfer request or something like that, but that's ridiculous.
Absolutely. One sad loss, and it caught me by surprise today. The former England manager Graham Taylor has sadly passed away at the age of 72. A heart attack came as a shock to the family, came as a shock to the footballing world as well, Gordon.
It did, you know, and as I say, he got a lot of criticism. It's a tough job, the England manager's job. He got a lot of criticism when he was a manager there, but he had a great managerial career. I met him a couple of times, very nice man. Great views in football. Always like to just talk about the game and all that sort of thing, but sadly missed, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Winning games is the key, and of course Villa fans will look. He almost took them to the old First Division title, Watford runners up, and in an FA Cup final with them, no less.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, as I say, very successful. Watford was the time he's remembered most. Really, they played a very, very open style. Watford, it was, but he developed some good players too. Yeah,
absolutely. Always helps when you've got a John Barnes. Yes. Side. It can make any team look good, but again, condolences to the family, and a man will be sadly missed in the footballing world. Good to hear from John Rankin on the programme. As ever, Peter and Ruffy's Football Show, we always like to bring you good football chat. Join us tomorrow. Gordon Smith will be in the seat once again, and Hugh McDonald will join us for the extended Friday programme. Hopefully you can join us for that. Thanks for watching.